Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Unlocked, where we talk about unlocking the potential of you, the people you work with, and the people you do life with. At the time of this recording, I'm offering all of you, yes, my lovely listeners, a free 15-minute communication coaching call. You come with some kind of communication problem, and I give you a solution. My calendar link is in the show notes, so check that out. Dr. Derrick Love, who graciously allowed me to call him D-Love because he said, yeah, man, that sounds good. Let's go with that. I feel like I was talking to somebody who just won a Grammy Award. Derrick is awesome. Derrick comes from the education space and has created a company called New Horizon Institute, where he coaches leaders and teams on the idea of communication and specifically self-awareness. His whole foundational platform is built on self-awareness. In fact, he just wrote a book about it. It's called Self-Awareness in Leadership, and we're going to talk about that book on the show. We're going to talk about education and leadership, but we're just going to talk about the principle of leadership and self-awareness as it pertains to us as people and how we can leverage that to be better leaders, better team members, and just better people in general. Dr. Derrick Love has a doctorate in educational leadership, multiple certifications, including superintendent, K-12 administrator, special education teacher, and it's really his unwavering commitment to enhancing that educational landscape that you're going to hear in this. His passion, his experience, and helping others. At the end, we tell a story. He tells a story about somebody he's worked with and mentored and was able to see her grow and really blossom into the person that she is. And you can hear a little bit of the pride in there, the good pride. Okay, that good hormone that kicks in. That's so cool. And just the smile on his face was fantastic. So I am excited to interview Derrick, and I hope you're going to get something out of this. This is a interview with Dr. Derrick Love, aka Dr. D Love, Dr. D Love. You said I could just call you D Love.
D-Love. Let's roll with D-Love today, Scott.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love it, man. I love it. Hey, you've got a new book out. And because we share the same universe and same brain in some way, we launched it around the same time in December. And so you're on the same train I am, getting the word out, and I want to help you do that. So
Appreciate it.
tell us about your book. I'm anxious to hear about it.
Oh, well, yeah, thank you. And thank you for allowing me to be on the show today, man. I really do appreciate it. And so the book is Self-Awareness and Leadership, Why the Best Leaders First Examine and Lead Themselves. So, Scott, this is a blueprint of how to be more of a self-aware leader and what that means to be a self-aware leader. When you think about self-awareness, what is your moral compass? What guides you? What directs you? What makes you tick? Because I truly believe in this book that you have to define your why and who you are first before you can project outwardly and leadership. So this book is that blueprint to help you define your why, to help you look at your why, who you are, and then how do you project it out in working with teams effectively to build teams, to build individuals, and to know that leadership is always bigger than you. It's more than you. It's about the individuals you lead. And when you see the people thrive, then you win as a leader. And also, Scott, I did this book is because, you know what, Scott, I owe some people some apologies. As an earlier career educator, when I came into administration, I didn't have it right. There was some insecurities within me. There were some things that projected outwardly that probably didn't do well, or I could have been more successful had I been a more self-aware leader. And so I kind of want to right or wrong. And I wrote this as a blueprint to help other leaders, future leaders, aspiring leaders, how to really lead effectively in that space of communication, vulnerability, transparency. But not only that, just being a knowledge of who you are so they can be the best version of themselves. And lastly, I believe that when you're the best version of who you are, then you give the best to people.
So what What gives you the credibility to even talk about this? Why should we even listen to you?
Wow, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, I think what gives me the credibility behind that is my studies in educational leadership. And I have a doctorate in educational leadership. And also that I have 20 years of experience leading teams, leading people in the space of education and also in higher education. And so I think it gives me enough credibility to understand the why, to know the why, and just on the job training, Scott. We can go to school to learn about the theoretical models and practices and things of that nature. But as you live life and you are leading people and you're going through the work and doing the work, that's when you truly understand how leadership arises and you understand the intricacies of leadership and how to project that leadership to way in a way that it supports people and not hinder people.
Let me ask you this. Coming from the education world, you have been engulfed in that world. You've been there for a
Mhm,
very long time. Can you tell me this and tell me if it's changing? I'm
mhm,
curious because
mhm,
I don't know. I'm not in the space. When I went to school, it was, even into college, it's 70% IQ is what you teach. And then like 20%, 25% EQ, a little bit of like how to work in teams and get along with others and collaborate and things like that. It might even be 80-20, 85-15. When we get into the real world, it's like flipped. It's more like 70%, 5% EQ. How do we understand others and get along with others? And 25% IQ when we really get into it. And yeah, the competency P has to be there. But if I don't like to work with you, and if you're not self aware, and if we can't collaborate well, and if we can't build and deliver on something because we can work, then it doesn't matter. I'm gone. So, is that mentality changing within education? Are we still really focused on the IQ piece and not as much on the EQ piece? Or what do you see happening?
I think there's a balance. We've moved towards a balance in that, Scott, because we truly want to provide space and opportunity for students to be able to grow into the world of work. And even in going into their different career pathways, we are teaching soft skills and those soft skills of how to work with others, how to be effectively in communicating. And we're trying to create whole rounded individuals that can go into different spaces, whether they're going to a 2 year college, a 4 year college, and or military, and or into the workspace. And then we also provide that level of internships and mentorships as well too throughout the 4 years because we do understand that as they move into different spheres and spaces and occupations, that it's required of them to be able to move in that and to have that level of collaboration, teamwork, and soft skills, how to advocate and different things of that magnitude. So education has totally turned in that space because we understand that it's very important to send out or to graduate students in that space who can deliver in multiple different areas of it for efficiency and for to be able to be successful in those spaces. So yes, it has changed.
That's good to hear.
And
I,
we have
I go no go go ahead. Go ahead. You
no, I
say.
was saying, Scott, because we also bring in industry into our districts and campuses for the different programs that we offer, the different fields of study that we offer, bringing in industry and seeing what industry needs and what it just takes for our students to move into these different diverse industries and getting their opinion and thoughts on our curriculum, how we are approaching it, what that looks like as a part of our advisory committees, because we want to make sure that we are deploying the best to enter into those areas, into those career pathways.
Because there's degrees out there, organizational psychology and HR, and you can get an MBA and something, but nobody really gets a master's in leadership. Nobody gets a like master's in people development. Like it doesn't happen. But
Yeah.
I almost feel like some leaders would really benefit from a master's in self-awareness, like there's something there that I just wish there was a little more emphasis on.
I think so, Scott. I think that's kind of what my push is, and I think in this book, and just my platform piece in this space is to say that we do need more self-aware leaders. I think when we've all been and we've all sat under some good leaders and some leaders you felt like, wow, I've learned a great deal and valuable knowledge about. And then we've all sat under some leaders that was like, oh my gosh, when are you leaving? Or can you go back to school and get some training and get some skills on people skills? Just give me some people skills, right? Get you some people skills. But we've all been there and we've all understand how that leaves people hurt, wounded, feeling unsure of themselves, not as confident anymore because of a leader, or well, I don't call him a leader, I call him a manager, who decided that, you know what, it's going to be my way or the highway, and not really trying to focus on how do we work collaboratively, effectively together. Want to be the smartest person in the room, the egotistical mindset, prideful, and all of those things never leads to sustainability and effective change. And so people move into this complacency, or kind of a complacency and or a compliant behavior because I don't want to get fired. But that doesn't create an innovative, creative atmosphere where people are thriving and there's a culture and a climate that is energized and synergized, that truly moves the organization forward. And so I do believe that it's not people say like a concept of self-awareness, but I think if we live that, we embody that, we get to change people, and change people for the better. And I think as we all embrace this level of change, then I think we in turn create a more effective and global society of leaders who are self-aware, knowledgeable, and willing to put good things out there.
Good. Let's talk about the book a little bit. You
Okay.
dive into a couple different topics in the book. And the first one you talk about is leadership beyond authority. So it's not about positional power
Mm-mm.
anymore, right? Like I think the old school way, industrial age, was kind of like you walked into the office of the CEO and they immediately demanded respect because of the title.
Mhm.
Um, and you walked in, you're like, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I'm on it, whatever. And it's not necessarily about that anymore. Expand on that first principle from the book.
No, it's not. It's not about the positional authority. It's about the individual, the person. I think when you are a self-aware leader, you hold a level of confidence and you exude a level of confidence in that you don't have to be the smartest person in the room, right? You don't have to be the one that's the front runner leading from the front. You can be if you're in a line, you can be in the middle, you can be at the back. But how you facilitate and orchestrate that is what determines success for you. And I think that when we are self-aware leaders, we're able to truly dive into people and to extract the best out of people so they can all thrive and be effective in the workplace, not only professionally but personally as well too. So this old kind of antiquated way of I'm the CEO, it's my way or the highway. In today's age and time, when you think about the different generations, right, and X, Y, and everybody else behind there, they're not tolerating that any longer like that. No, they've been raised into a culture whereas how do we work together? How do you best how's my talents and skill set best support the organization, and what does it look like? And so everybody has value a part of that team. It's how the leader extracts that level of value and then allow them to have that reign to be successful. And then you coach and ask them if they need some help or resources are they needing to be more successful. But that whole antiquated way of leading, I'm the CEO, you give me that level of respect, is I think is I do believe that it's still prevalent. I won't say that's that. I do believe it's prevalent, but I think there is a shift in that those CEOs want to be thought partners in the room. They want to be more considered as, like I said, a thought partner. And what does that look like? And how do I support? What are you needing? Because if you take care of people, they'll take care of you. And when you do that, you will see the growth and the incremental growth and the continual level of growth because you are poured into those individuals.
I like the term thought partner.
Hmm.
Being a thought partner, a lot of us think of, I'm a thought leader. I want to be a thought leader. I want to be the one blazing the trail. But when I think about thought partner, then I'm bringing other people on the trail with me. We're collaborating together. We're building this thing together. And there's some shared responsibility, some shared, authority, some shared reward. There's some buy-in. I think that's smart. I like that. I like that a lot. So that goes into personal growth and leadership as one of the other points you put in here. I always think about this as a coach. I didn't think about this as much before. Of
Hmm.
course, I'm in the coaching space now, but I'm going, why doesn't every single leader have a coach? Like, if you want to be a high performer, why don't you have a coach? Every high performing athlete, name me one high performing athlete that does not have a coach.
I can.
They don't have them. And we
Exactly.
sit there and admire them. We watch them on TV and we wonder how they're so good. And we don't even think twice about them having a coach.
Mhm.
But yet I can run a $500 million company and I don't think I need a coach. Like and I have a lot of responsibility, a lot of people, and I don't know. That's a big deal to me. So when we talk about personal growth and leadership, how does that play into the idea of self-awareness and how we lead our people?
But I think one of the great things about, I mean, Scott, not say great things. I think everybody needs a coach, right? Everybody needs someone as a thought partner to just to pass ideas through. Because as a leader, as you know, and leading sometimes is a lonely place, a lonely spot in the organization. And you need someone to bounce ideas off of that, hey, this is my vision, this is what I may be thinking, this is what I'm not aware of, or I'm not I'm on there's a level of uncertainty. And just so that that thought partner can provide you with a space, a safe space to be able to ask the critical questions that sometimes that other people may not ask those critical questions or those tough questions to maybe get to a better thought processing. And so when you think of leaders who don't think they need any coaching, then I'm a little bit fearful of that, right? Because what you're saying, what you're putting out there is that I don't need anybody. I'm good, right? I don't. Why is that not needed? And I do believe that everybody needs a thought partner in the room, or a thought partner that they can go to, or a mentor that they can ask questions of, because there are times that you're not going to know. And I think sometimes when you rely on your own decision making processes that are sometimes can be jaded or biased, then that leads to wrongful decisions, that leads to wrongful thinking, and which I call kind of like stinking thinking. And it doesn't help the organization thrive or grow. And then you're wondering why the outcome or the byproduct of what you're trying to achieve doesn't really take root, or doesn't take any, doesn't get any momentum in that. And that's you are because you're thinking that you are it, and I think go back to what that goes back to is the pride, the ego. And so when I got into leadership at 26 years old, Scott, leading as a principal, that was me. It was, you're gonna do it my way. I'm the principal. I'm gonna show you who I am. I got something to prove. That mindset and mentality. And it wasn't until I got into at 26 and I got faced with a baby boomer, and she rocked my world. And it was the clashing piece. And so in that, the clashing in communication, and so I wanted to be effective, Scott, and I didn't want to be not. So I had to learn diverse ways of how to communication in those generational gaps and what that looked like. And then I had to really let go of Derrick and pride and ego. I had to tell D Love, hey, get somewhere and sit down. Let's bring on Derrick. And so Derrick came into the picture and understood that to be able to move people to get the best out of people, that I had to work within those individuals. And I had to let go of me and to embrace the we and the us. And then that's how I was able to be successful, to learn to be more successful.
And I love this because that whole idea takes me into your idea of leadership as an art form.
Hmm.
And I love that idea, coming from the artistic background that I do and things like that. And I never really thought about it that way. Like it's an art form. Why do you say that?
Because it's how you paint the canvas, right? So how you paint the canvas determines the outcome of what it's going to be, right? And so I want the canvas to look beautiful. I wanted to see that there's some level of productive struggle in that piece. Um, but in that, it's an art form. And how do I strategically and intentionally communicate? What does that look like? How does that feel like? Um, and so that my intentionality is critical, and it's an art form to how we do that. It's an art form to how we pursue it. It's an art form to how we deliver it. It's an art form to how we communicate it. And so you have to be able to kind of hone in on your art. It's like the craft, and so hone in on your art and your craft to be successful. It's a continuous level of improvement, right? We're always evolving. We're always continually to try to improve that. And so I look at that is that my canvas has many different rays of colors. It has many different strokes. um, and so I want to make sure that that canvas looks the best and that I'm putting the best foot forward in the in that creative space and in the best foot forward and making sure that that I'm trying to get it right every single time and being reflective in the process too. So I may look at that canvas and say, yeah, that red don't look too good right there. That red kind of represented an attitude or perspective that I didn't like. And so let me change that red. Let me paint that color of blue. And then that blue represent a new me, a new perspective, a new thought process that I believe would truly make valuable change.
And what does self-awareness have to do with all this? It's kind of a I'm giving you I'm giving you a softball. I'm lobbing it to you here. Self-awareness, what's the key to all that?
Wow. I think self awareness is the key to all. I mean, the key in self awareness is, I think, being self aware about who you are to be able to pivot in real time, to be able to change in real time as things are occurring and or happening. And a self aware leader is not one that's not willing to pivot, but one who's willing to pivot to make sure that the fulfillment of the organization, the fulfillment of the individuals that they're working with or supervising or overseeing, that those individuals are thriving in the most productive manner and the most productive means. I think a self-aware leader is also that reflective practitioner who always reflects on his or her practices and reflects on his or her decision-making processes um, and willing to think outside the box and tap into innovation and creativity within the individuals that they are serving or working alongside. And so for me, self awareness to me, Scott, is everything. I, 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 I don't know where I would be if I wasn't self aware in leadership. Um, and I don't know because some leaders believe that you don't need that. That's philosophical. You don't. That's much. You don't need that. That ain't. That's some misconceptions that people are throwing out or something that they may have those perceptions about. But I think in order to get the best out of people, you have to be self-aware. I mean, I don't. You have to be able to tap into people to get the best out of people, to be able to lead them effectively, and that also begins with leading you, the individual, first because we all have our own insecurities, right? We all have our own personal biases and things of that magnitude. And if we don't check those, then we bring those and we project those outwardly onto people. And so we have to be very cognizant as leaders that we don't damage or hurt, but we uplift, we motivate, and we inspire.
This all leads to the big idea of empowerment and potential. This
Mhm.
all leads to, I would assume it's the empowerment and potential of myself as a leader, but the empowerment and potential of others that I lead. What's your angle on that one?
On my angle on the empowerment of people or the perspective.
Just that last concept of empowerment and potential, how you talk about that in the book and how you leverage that as a point to understand self-awareness.
So I think empowerment and is very important. You want to be able to empower the people that you lead. You want to be able to inspire them in such a way that motivates them to create effective change and to be reflective as well too. Because I think once you exemplify that from within, then that portrays outwardly, right? And so as you invest into the next person, then the next person invests into the same next person. And so we begin this chain reaction of providing support, providing encouragement, providing empowerment, providing that level of risk taking, and so that kind of propels you to grow. And I think this level of empowerment, motivation, and inspiration is critical and key as a self-aware leader, that we continue to perpetuate that not only in ourselves, but in the others that we lead. In turn, they're doing the same thing. And it's amazing to watch. And as a leader, that when you are living that and you see that actively, and you are modeling that behaviors, right? And then when you're seeing the people that you lead model those same behaviors, it's amazing to watch and see, and the traits that they pick up and the habits that they form, because of what's been modeled and demonstrated before them. And so it's just an excitement to see that. And then as they do that and they're leading their groups and they're managing their teams, and you see that level of I want to say contagiosity. It kind of just kind of morphs into everything that you do, and the other people morphs into everything they do. And it's amazing to watch, Scott. It's amazing to see it happen in real time.
I'm putting you on the spot here.
Go ahead.
Do you have a story of where you've seen that happen? Whether you've witnessed it happen with another leader that you were working with, or whether you experienced that as being the leader yourself?
hmm So, for example, I've watched this past year. I was, she's one of my leaders under me. And that's several, like all, yeah, but just her one in particular, right? And so we would go into meetings, Scott, and she would look to me towards that kind of help talk, and I was kind of like, okay, and I would go on and just kind of lead the meetings. But when she found that level of self confidence and resilience about her, and that's the level of me constantly empowering her, you got this. Let's talk about it beforehand the meeting. But Scott, when she got into that last meeting, and she led the meeting. I mean, and she was talking. We was talking. It was about a partnership meeting. It was partnership with the university, about a 4-year degree plan, so our students can receive bachelor's degrees after after they graduate, a year after they graduate. So it's a 5-year program. And so when she was leading the discussion and the questions that she was asking the representative of the university, and how she was kind of intentional and thought process in that piece, and um, it was just amazing to see her thrive in that space. And afterwards, I said, you know what? You're ready. You don't need me anymore. You got this. And so now she's ready to fly on her own. She's doing well, succeeding, thriving. And then she's leading other leaders in that same space as well too. Leading principals in that space as well too. So it was just I was so excited and proud when she did that. And yeah, that gives me that, yeah.
That's amazing. I could see your countenance like change a little bit when you were talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I don't want, yeah, it's
The
good.
pride, the pride. It's that serotonin kick that we get,
Mm,
that pride hormone that kicks in. It's not about the arrogance. It's a humble pride of she did
yeah.
it. But you as the intentional leader went into what I'll usually say with my individuals is that when you see somebody that's struggling, um, they could potentially fall into what we call the pit of despair.
hmm
And they really need three things in that time: is time, vision, and encouragement.
hmm
And sounds like you gave her those elements. You gave her those ingredients of time, vision, and encouragement to help her feel that she's got this. You
hmm
know, did she ever mess up? I'm sure she messed up a little bit,
hmm
but it wasn't so bad that she crushed her potential of ever being able to do it again. We all mess up a little bit, recognize it, learn from it. Time, vision, encouragement helps people move beyond that thing and know that it's okay. Creating that psychological safety, the safe space to be able to do that. So thanks for being the leader that you are. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, and I think it was just the continue. And so we had, leading up to that final meeting, there were several meetings that we had. And so she would dive in a little bit incrementally, kind of put her toe into conversations, right? Her pinky toe in the conversations.
Mm-hmm.
But when she put her whole toe into it, so it was just phenomenal to watch her work. And I didn't speak at all. I just kind of sat back and said, "Okay, you got it." And it was just, I truly love to see people thrive in that space. I love to see them grow. I love to see them the space, tap into that inner self that they thought wasn't there. They didn't have it, or they felt that, I don't think I can do it. But to give them that, like you said, the time, the space, the energy, and the practice to be able to do that. And then when you see the reality of the fruitfulness of that, and it comes to and it's happening in real time, right before you, and you see them do it, it's just it's an artwork. It's masterful. It's just it's good. And so yeah, it was a great day that day, to watch her do that. And so she is moving forward. She sets up her own meetings with the stuff. I just check in and say, how is it going? How can I help you? How can I support you? But yeah,
That's the best. That's the best. Empower your people and watch them fly. Watch them
yes.
fly. So the show's called Unlocked because that's what we do. We unlock the potential of people. And it sounds like that's what you did for her. She had to have the courage to step out of the cage, right?
Mm-hmm.
But once she did it, you helped her be able to fly and do that thing. And that's what it's all about. So I appreciate that. How can people get in touch with you? How do they get a hold of the book? What are some ways people can do that?
Yes, they can get a hold of the best way to get in touch with me was on my website, which is www.newhorizon.institute.org. You can send me an email through there. You can buy the book on Amazon or any other bookstore retailer that you choose. But yeah, you can pick up the book. On my website you can also purchase the book on the website as well too. And yeah, so hey, if you need some help in leadership development, executive coaching, and you want to determine your why and what that looks like to be able to move the organization and leverage those skills to move the organization to the next level, reach out.
Cool. And you got a podcast as well people can
Yeah,
check
a
out?
podcast which is called the Dr. Love Show. We are in production currently in production of recording those shows. And so, yeah, be on the lookout for that. That will also be on my website as well, too. And so, yeah.
Okay. The Dr. Love Show. Will you be giving relationship advice on this show?
I don't know about that one. No,
Okay.
we don't give
Well,
rape advice.
I don't know, man. With the name, you got it. I
But
don't
no,
know.
yeah, no, sir. You know what? One day we probably will. My wife is a therapist, and so one day we'll probably do a show together and give relationship advice on just how to be more fruitful in relationships, and also in marriage. But if you're single, how you can do that as well too. So yeah, I think that's
Well,
something.
I have found in coaching individuals that a lot of the time we spend is on family stuff.
Mhm.
I mean, I'll be doing executive coaching and we're talking about wives and kids and husbands and all kinds of things. I mean, it's the things we teach aren't just for the workplace.
Mhm.
And I think if people learned about it, self-awareness is just not for work,
Mhm.
it will destroy marriages too.
Yes.
The unself-aware individual. So, yeah, that would be awesome. The Dr. Loves show. And you got both of you, just spreading the love. So that's really
Right.
cool.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you.
So hopefully so. That's something I definitely will consider.
Cool. Well, thanks for doing what you're doing. Keep doing it. And we'll talk to you soon. And everybody grab that book.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your show today.
The foundational principle of why you do what you do and who you are pretty important. Think about that. We don't know why we do what we do. We just kind of exist. and then we don't really understand who we are. We just kind of go through life. That sounds kind of lonely, and it sounds kind of accidental, and it sounds kind of like I'm just gonna go through and see what happens. Maybe some of you are cool with that, but I would believe most of you are not. This idea of self-awareness is, again, a core belief of Derrick's. It's a core belief of mine. I believe it's a core principle in everything that we do and who we are. So I'm really, really grateful for Derrick and him sharing the insights that he did. So please go out, check out his book, and when you get a chance, leave a review on his book, because us authors, we really, really appreciate that. So leave a review and comment and share his book wherever you can. That's a little plug for you, Derrick. Thought partner, that whole word, thought partner. How many of us have thought partners? How many of us think of our people as thought partners? Interesting. I like that idea. Let going of the me so we can embrace the we. How many leaders do we meet that are willing to let go of the me and embrace the we? Those are the leaders that we want to embrace, that we want to follow, that we want to support. Those are the leaders. How do I paint the canvas? As an art form, leadership's an art form. I love this visual of the canvas. And what does my canvas look like as a leader? Every canvas is going to be a little bit different, and that's okay. We want to make sure that we imitate the good behaviors and good things we learn from other leaders before we innovate and make it our own and become the leader that we were designed to be. Let's reflect, let's understand who we are as leaders, and let's be that leader worth following. That is what we want to understand. And that is how we build cultures worth belonging to and companies worth growing. So thank you, Derrick, for being on the show. I really appreciate it. If you want to find out more information about me or check out the show notes where there's going to be more information and links to the things referenced in this episode, visit skotwaldron.com. And lastly, I'm asking for a little bit of love, just a little bit. So please take a moment, follow, rate the show. The algorithms like that. It helps me get the word out. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And until next time, stay unlocked.